Hey everybody, C.NOTE here, and welcome to Dopamine, the show that is all about mental health empowerment. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about work and play cycles, especially with having to spend a lot of time inside at the moment. We're going to have to find ways to get in tune with our own natural work and play rhythms. Especially if you work for yourself, you might have to find a way to manage your own rhythm in a way that you're not used to, or manufacture different cues for you to get into a different headspace, or to listen to your body or your mind in a way that you may not be used to at the moment. So this is going to be a relatively short episode. I'm kind of in my bedroom doing this underneath a blanket as to not make too much noise, so that's why I might sound a little whispery, but we're just going to go ahead and do it. Hit the button and do the thing here on Dopamine. Let's go.
Drums, please.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Hope you're doing okay. A little bit of a slightly different format just because I'm recording this on my phone. Sometimes that changes, and that's okay. And that's part of this whole thing. Sometimes things have to adapt and change, and we have to adapt and change with it. And that's totally fine. So thank you for being here. Welcome back to the show. I am C.NOTE, aka Christian Rivera. I am focused on mental health empowerment for people. I am not a professional, but I do my best to encourage you using Myers-Briggs and other platforms, other maps and models to help you calibrate to your sense of normal. So I just put on our website the beta of a conversational personality typing chatbot. So it's on our website. You can go there, just wait for the pop-up, and then click the link, and it'll show up in your Facebook messaging profile. And you'll be able to take the test in the messaging. It's basically a conversational thing. And it's in beta, which means that I'm still working on some of the format, some of the questions, some of the information, the language, spelling, timing, things like that. So those are all things that I would love feedback on if that is something you are willing to go do and take. It's especially helpful if you already know your personality type in the Myers-Briggs system. That way we can kind of get a little bit of an accuracy confirmation as well. But for the most part, this is about the process, and I'm trying something different, I'm trying something new, and I'm trying to put my own stamp on the sort of personality typing experience. So if you want to go check that out, it's on our website at dopamine.life. So with sort of the change in how sort of the world is at the moment, there are some shifts that a lot of us have had to make. Some of us are having to work from home. Some of us have lost our job completely. Some of us are struggling to find a new way of doing things. And I think this is an opportune time to beg the question of ourselves of what our natural cycles are. For me, as someone who has cyclothymia, circadian rhythm is incredibly important to me. And circadian rhythm is basically the day and night cycles, your sleep and wake times. And I still don't have the best handle on that. But for the most part, if I go to bed around like 10 o'clock, 10, 11, and I wake up around 8 or 9, between 7 to 9 a.m., I'm okay in terms of the way my brain feels and stuff like that. And staying in a rhythm is important. You kind of wake up, your body feels energized, you get into a routine. And I think the same applies to our work and play cycles as well. And you can think of it as your decision-making style, which is the thinking or feeling side of yourself, or your perceiving style, which is the learning style, which is the more playful side, the things that you take time to relax, or to think about things, or to just let your mind sort of wander the garden of your mind, that kind of thing, depending on your personality type. And being playful and sort of managing all of that is an interesting cycle to get into, to think about how we get into this rhythm of creating something for a while. You can kind of handle doing a certain thing for a few days, and then you get back into this feeling of, I can't necessarily maintain this or stick with it. And, that challenge is mixed with trying to understand your own body rhythms. It's about kind of listening to your mind, listening to your body, listening to when things change. And I think the challenge with that is that we're in this weekday weekend cycle. And I think there's some validity to that idea of work for a few days, play for a few days. Usually, I mean, in a healthier sense, it's more day to day sort of balancing that out, meaning work for a few hours, play for a few hours, work for a few hours, play for a few hours, like that kind of thing. Kind of depending on what your preferences are. But and when I say preferences, I mean like your natural brain wiring preference, your instinct, your compulsion. Some people are more compulsed. I don't even know if that's a word, but compelled. You're more compelled to do more work or more thinkery things or make more decisions. And some of us are more wired to play more often. And that's sort of part of this idea of finding your sense of normal, because many of us think that we have to be worker bees more often when a lot of us are player bees more often. I don't know if that would be a term, but I'm coining it now. Um, so being a little bit more playful, it may be a little bit more in your wheelhouse, or being more, more of the type that wanders the garden of your mind kind of thing, or someone that is a little bit more relaxed more of the time and sticking with routine and tradition. You may stay in that sort of space. And while there is this 5 day, 2 day work cycle, I think more of the natural rhythms of our really humanity, of our brain, of who we are, is more of a 3 day, 2 day cycle. At least in my experience, I kind of think of it that way. And, life requires us to kind of push ourselves a little bit. So the fact that there's a 5 day, 2 day work cycle means that's if you're working a job and you're doing that, that's a thing you kind of have to adapt to, or find a way to find that rhythm in. And the reason I wanted to really talk about work play cycles is because that's usually the situation where we have to do more work than we feel like we want to, or we have to uh, stay within a routine or a structure or a schedule that is going to serve us in the long term. You need to make money, you need to do whatever, but we may have to, bend who we are to sustain that a little bit. But I'm saying in the big picture, even if you are working a job, there's usually ways that you can satisfy those sort of varying sides of yourself. And if you can identify yourself as more of the playful type, which is usually a perceiver, someone that shows up to the world kind of ready to learn, ready to kind of poke at things, and you just kind of like chat away and just have fun and, kind of let things happen. That means you're going to have to find more time in your day to allow for that play to happen, because that play actually facilitates the work that you want to do and helps you focus when it's time to get that work done. And the opposite is true, that if you're someone that's always working all the time and you're doing a lot of heavy lifting, that you're going to need to find time to integrate throughout your day to kind of relax, let things be, just kind of go with the flow and let it happen. I'm basically, I've basically been going through that cycle where, I don't have, a job in that it requires a 5 day, 2 day work cycle. And sometimes because I spent so long in the workforce that I end up kind of pushing myself to sort of stick within that rhythm, even if it doesn't make sense for me to stick into that rhythm. Like it's sort of this natural human tendency to do what the rest of the world is doing. Like, I don't care who you are. That's sort of the pull. There's that social likability bias that a lot of us have. And that means that because we've just been sort of trained and indoctrinated and gone through the school system and sort of learned to be learned that rhythm, that it's hard to break away from that rhythm if you have to break away from that rhythm. And even within that rhythm, to listen to your body instead of relying on the system itself that's been presented to you. So it's kind of an unlearning effort to learn how to be aware of your own needs when you need them. You know, if you're having a hard time focusing, like no human being, first of all, is meant to sit at a desk all day and stare at it and stare at a screen and have the sun basically blaring into your eyes every moment of the day. And it's important to take the time to listen when you're fading. You know, like I'm struggling, I can't think right now, and just allow yourself permission, or find a job, or find the boss, or find someone that you can talk to and carve space for yourself to make that happen. Most of the time people stop themselves and they say like, my boss would never let me go for a walk. And have you ever asked? A lot of the time people don't ask, they just make assumptions. So it's the job thing, it's whatever. In my case, it's I mean, and kind of like the way the world is right now, because a lot of us are working inside, that rhythm is getting thrown all over the place. And I think this is a way to start to tune to your own rhythm as opposed to just relying on the external system's rhythm. Now, some people are going to be fine with that. Some people are going to like love that there's an external system that they can rely on. But there's going to be other things that you're going to have to create in your life that are signals to get up and do the work, right? Like get up and make your bed and take a shower, put on pants. Like, that's hard for people to do when you don't have to leave. But it's part of being a professional and staying professional while you're at home working and doing things. But then throughout the day, understanding that you're not chained to the desk, you're not chained to whatever situation you're in, other than, respecting the social distancing side of things, and making sure that you're taking the time to adapt to your rhythms. Again, if you're more of a judging type in the Myers-Briggs system and you have to get a lot of work done, then you're probably more ready to go. But understand that even throughout your day, you're going to have to allow for that time for you to like shut everything off and either wander the garden of your mind, like I mentioned, or to find a way to relax and just make everything stop and basically do the complete opposite. Do something playful, play a video game, do something that is like not work related, and manage that work play cycle. So the reason I call it the work play cycle is because it's sort of over time, if you're just working all the time, the stress that creeps in is usually the pull to the other side of what you need, that compulsion to go do the other thing that you need to do, the other part of yourself. Because we're multifaceted people. We're not singular entities in terms of like what our mental focus is. So if you're always doing, there's another side of you that needs relaxing. If you're always, free form and playful and ready to go, there's another side of you that needs to buckle down and get some work done. So take this opportunity now to learn what that rhythm is, and to be aware that it doesn't necessarily mean that you won't be productive, that you need to take time to think and slow down, which is also part of being productive. Relaxing is part of being productive. And it's a little sad that I have to say that, but that's part of American culture, that we're very productive in the way that we think about things. And it's all about being a productive member of society. So if you think of relaxing as being a part of that, then you will allow that. And it's not just about relaxing, but it's about getting the playful side of yourself some attention, because that's what's incredibly important. So for me, I've been working on this chatbot basically Sunday and Monday, pretty much all day, 2 days in a row. And I realized Tuesday morning I woke up and I did a little more work, but as I got through the day, my focus was fading and I was feeling like I just needed to relax and let go. And I needed to regroup, I needed to refocus and not do that. Now, in my situation, I've cultivated my life in such a way for so long that freedom of time is one of the most important things to me, and I've worked on that. Not everyone has that benefit, but you can manage based on communication, based on where you put your attention and time and energy and how you schedule your time and energy and focus based on these cycles and setting those boundaries that you need for the work that you need to do or not do, and manage even just the amount of stuff you do. Maybe you wake up in the morning and you're like, you know what, this is more of a low energy day, this is more of a simple tasks kind of day. I'm going to focus on those things that are on my list as opposed to these big heavy things, and kind of rearrange and adapt. I think right now there's a lot of adaptability that needs to happen. And I know it's not easy for every personality type to adapt on a dime, to swivel like that. But that's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking to you, because it's important for you to be aware that normal expectations just won't do right now. And that's kind of one of the things I wanted to talk about, is that we're having to spend a lot of time by ourselves or with our partner, with our friends, with family. And it's different. It's all day, every day. There are going to be things that come to the surface that you might not have been aware of, whether that's from you or your partner, your friends, and you're going to have to find your own time and space to be yourself. You're going to have to manage your own schedule. You're going to have to manage your own behavior. You're going to have to manage your own triggers and actions for what you need to do in order to exist and get things done and to relax. You're going to have to intentionally relax, focus, and breathe. I need to do a better job of breathing myself, as you might be able to tell. And take a moment to manage your anxiety, manage how much you're consuming passively instead of actively engaging. So I have to be aware for myself in terms of my introverted sensing, my tertiary function as an INTP, that I need to not just like sit and watch TV, but I need to engage in something, playing video games or doing something that's going to engage my mind as well, and is not just going to be passive sensory information, right? So it's going to look different for every person. And certainly if you have questions about that, you can hit me up at Let's Go C.NOTE, and I'm happy to answer any questions that I can. If you want me to do a more specific episode on the workplace cycles of each personality type, I'm happy to do that sort of thing. I'm still experimenting with personality type stuff on this podcast, so whatever you want, you let me know and I will make adjustments. But for the most part, that's really what I wanted to land on, was this idea that normal expectations just won't do right now. The normal level of productivity that you are used to, the normal level of action and adventure and excitement is not going to be the same. Managing your emotions are going to be much more difficult. Getting to bed on time is going to be hard. Sleeping is going to be hard. Relaxing is going to be hard. Getting immersed in things that are not what's happening in the world is going to be very hard. And I think that's true for any time, but in this time in particular, with what's going around the world in this pandemic at the moment, makes that particularly difficult. So be kind to yourself. Give yourself some space. Give yourself some rest. Take a moment to breathe. Show some love for your family. Also, getting some distance from your family is a way of showing love. Make sure you carve out some space. Just because you and your partner live together doesn't mean you have to spend every moment together. Make sure you're honoring each other's needs and honoring your individual needs. Play doesn't have to be with them. You can be by yourself. That's totally fine. Communicate, check in, and make sure that you're again, following those needs, listening for your own reactions in your body and your mind for when you need self-care, when you need to drink some water, when you need to eat something, when you need to just stop. Because it's okay to just stop. Just sit in the silence. That's totally fine. Yeah. Just take a breath. Just sit with me for a second. You don't need to do anything. You're here. You're alive. That's great. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. So I want to thank you guys for listening to this episode. Take a moment to breathe. I keep saying it over and over again, but this is the thing, right? It's easy to get inundated with speculation and opinions, and news cycles have to fill in, beats in between the big beats. So there's a lot of opinion. There's a lot of things that aren't actually helpful. Turn it off, get away from it for a little while, check in every so often, listen to your favorite music, listen to your favorite podcasts, play some games, talk to your partner, make a puzzle, just do some things that you enjoy. But if you want to, if you're living alone and you're not sure who to connect with, you can certainly connect with me at Let's Go C.NOTE on all the social channels. I am very protective of my time, but I will communicate with you as best and as soon as I can. I do still offer coaching at this moment, so you can reach out for that. And I'm doing pay-as-you-want profiling sessions, so bit.ly/profiling session for all of that stuff. And as I mentioned, we have our prototype, basically the beta for our conversational personality type test up on dopamine.life, so you can go check that out. And lastly, if you want to join our communities, you can go sign up for our email list at the website, or join us at patreon.com/dopamine, where you can, leave all sorts of your challenges, topics, discussions, whatever you want to do. I just changed the tiers there as well, so it's a little bit more affordable across the board. I just want to keep building this community. I want to keep connecting. We've got our Facebook group. We got all sorts of ways for you to connect. But if you just go to our website, there's options there. Sign up for our email list. You'll get more options in your email and all that good stuff. I'm going to go relax because it's been bugging me that I didn't put a podcast episode up this week. But, I've just needed to rest. And that's why it's even hard to talk at the moment. There's just a lot swirling in my own brain. But, take a breath. It'll be okay. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to listen to some music. That's usually what helps me reset a little bit. I listen to video game music, especially remixes or different genres of some of my favorite video game music and all of that stuff. So hit me up at Let's Go C.NOTE or comment on this podcast episode wherever you're listening to it. Rating and review would be helpful. Share it with a friend and let me know what your favorite activity is during this time. What's something fun that you really enjoy? What lights up your brain right now? What is giving you a sense of, feeling either everything's going to be okay, or that you're immersed in something and you're not worried about it at the moment and you're just kind of doing the best you can. Because that's what I genuinely believe. Everyone's doing the best they can, and I'm here to support you in that. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, at Let's Go C.NOTE on all the social channels. I'm really bad at goodbyes, but I'm going to say goodbye. I love you guys. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll catch you next time on Dopamine. See ya.